Hi, my name's Cass. Welcome to the Autoparent podcast with my mom.
Hello. That's true. I'm his mom. I'm also your host for the Autoparent podcast. My name is Reverend Casey Van Atta K. Spear. I am an associate pastor and director of family ministries at Foundry United Methodist Church in Washington, D.C., and I'm a mom. Y'all, whatever we need this podcast to be, whether it's a space for solidarity or hope, to receive permission to tell guilt and shame to kick rocks, whatever we need for this parenting journey, I pray we find it here together. So come on, let's pray toward it and let's do it. Hello, and welcome to the Autoparent podcast. It's episode 16. Yay, episode 16. I am your host, Pastor Casey. It is so good to be on the airwaves with you today. I just want to give you an update. My partner, Greg, went back to work in person at his new job this past week. And so it has been like March Madness over here. We're just surviving and advancing. That's all that we're doing. I have many photos that I'm going to place on the Autoparent Twitter and Instagram so that you can see just a little bit of what I've been trying to manage. It's a lot. I'm in the boat with you, trying to do this whole thing. And yeah, we've just been surviving and advancing. So if that's not a segue, I don't know what is. So let's get right into parenting fails, confessions, and wins FCW. So this week, parenting fail, gosh, where do I even start? There have been, well, I guess I could give you this one from today, which is just, this is peak pandemic, peak parenthood, peak everything. My 3-year-old loves to play in the water when he's not supposed to. And he came up behind me in a Zoom call this morning, in a Zoom call, completely buck naked with a bowl filled with water. He called my name. I turned around to look at him, and he took the water and dumped it over his head like a Gatorade bath while I was on a Zoom call. And I just can't be everywhere at once. Like, I can't know that he's in the bathroom filling up a bowl of water to come out here and prank me live while I'm on a Zoom call. So, yeah, ultimate fail. I mean, we used to be able to lock the bathroom doors and only we could get in, but now he's figured it out very quickly. Here's another parenting fail. Yesterday, as some of you will remember, especially if you're a dedicated listener of the podcast, the whole colander situation. There was a colander situation at one point where they had gotten all of the colanders out of our cupboard and they were just chucking them at me. And again, I'll mention that we have way too many colanders, so that's one thing. There's another thing that we also have way too many of, and that's screwdrivers. And I have had the toolkit out because I've been kind of like taking apart some furniture, putting together some other furniture. And so I've had the toolkit out, and they managed to find every screwdriver that we have and just consistently licked them all day. Just licking screwdrivers is what we're doing in the Vampire household. And you've never lived unless you've said out loud, stop licking that screwdriver. Mommy was wishing she had a screwdriver right about then, but not the kind that you use to put furniture together. Am I right? So there's a couple of parenting fails. Parenting confession, again, real simple. Let's just get it out of the way. Like when Greg came home, probably on day 3, I was like, take them. I don't care where you go. I don't care what you do. Just take them from my presence. Take them away from me right now. And he obliged, thankfully. And I got to have like 30 minutes to just like decompress and figure out how I've lost the plot of my life, which is a shout out to Corey Alexander Willette, who says that, and it makes me laugh. Riggs is talking to me right now about pooping in the toilet. So this is just where we are, and we're going with the flow. The parenting win for this week is just that I've figured out that if I take them early enough in the day to the playground and just kind of sit there and let them determine when we leave, like we're there for hours. We're just sitting at the playground for hours. They're running all over the place, making new friends. You know, I'm watching them, and it's just, I love feeling the sun on my face. Like, although it's been a little bit windy and a little bit chilly a couple of the days that I've done it. But anyway, I figured out if I take them to the playground and let them just run it all out, that typically they're more inclined to take a nap in the afternoon. And it's a big, giant win. That's a huge win. So I'll take it. I'll take it however I get it. This has been a segment called Parenting Fails, Confessions, and Wins. If you have your own FCWs that you want to share with the podcast, you can do so via voice memo, or you can type it out to us on Twitter or Instagram at Autoparent. Now it's time to do a little something different. Now it's time for our Get Real segment, where each week we read the lectionary passage and we get real. The lectionary passage chosen for this week is Psalm 23. And here it is in the Inclusive Bible translation. Yahweh, you are my shepherd. I want nothing more. You let me lie down in green meadows, and you lead me beside restful waters. You refresh my soul. You guide me to lush pastures for the sake of your name. Even if I'm surrounded by shadows of death, I fear no danger, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they give me courage. You spread a table for me in the presence of my enemies, and you anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows. Only goodness and love will follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in your house, Yahweh, for days without end. This is the word of the Lord. You know, I did a reflection this week on Psalm 91, thinking about God as refuge. And here is yet another sort of moniker given to Yahweh, shepherd, lying down in green meadows, leading me beside restful waters, refreshing my soul. Thinking about God as a place to be refreshed is something that I want to give more sort of soul time to. I want to let my soul sort of wrap around that idea. It's episode 16. Yay, episode 16. And figure out the places and the times in my life where I need to be refreshed, where I need to feel rested, where I need to feel even led by God. And for me, as somebody who's a control freak, I constantly want to be in the lead, right? Constantly. I want to have control. I'm also a perfectionist, not recovering, just a perfectionist. So I constantly want to be the one who's dictating when I rest and how I rest and where we're going, and all of it for the sake of a calling, sure, that in many ways could be considered a quote unquote higher calling. But yeah, most of the time it's just an excuse for me to still be in charge. And like, wow, that feels like a word to me. And something that we don't often get to hear with this particular passage, because it's often read at funerals or memorial services, right? And so to think about what this text might offer the living as a space for rest and respite and hope, and a space to be reminded about God as shepherd, as leader, and that we get to partner with God in this work and on this journey. Truly, it is a gift that doesn't end in death, right? Which is also a beautiful gift of this psalm as well. Goodness and love following me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in your house, Yahweh, for days without end. And you can obviously see and feel the overtures of death and afterlife in this particular text, but for goodness and love to follow us, we've got to be leading with God. It sounds trite and it sounds like really unexamined and super simplistic and elementary and every synonym you can think of. But if God is leading and we are finding ourselves partnering in God's leadership, goodness and love will follow because they lead. They are leading. Goodness and love are leading. And so, of course, that is what follows. And that's just, as I was preparing for this podcast, that was something that hit me very strongly. And asking the question, is that what we're leading with? Is that what we're leading with in our parenting? Is that what we're leading with in our relationships? Are we inviting God into the leadership space of our lives? Which is a question I need to ask myself every day. Who's running this ship? Is it me? Ship feels like it's sinking sometimes. So who's in charge here? But yeah, and I think what happens is that we find ourselves in an endless cycle of control, loss of control, anxiety, fear, control, loss of control, anxiety, fear, just kind of this repetitive cycle. And what can help break that cycle is resting in God and knowing that God is present with us in the endeavor, whatever the endeavor is. And so what does that practically look like? Well, I mean, I like to have an open line of communication with God at all times. I feel like that's a thing that we don't even have to ask for. It just is there. And so sometimes I'll just speak to God as if I'm speaking to somebody in the room. And sometimes they're not nice things that I'm saying, but an open line of communication with God really helps. If you have a commute, sometimes you can pray out loud in your car. That's something that I do as well if I'm commuting to or from somewhere. There are all kinds of ways to invite spirit into any kind of endeavor. And I think that this may just become a theme on the podcast, that like it's part of our hope and our goal to just invite spirit wherever we are. And it's not that spirit isn't already there. It's just inviting spirit helps us to be able to see her better and to hear her better and to partner alongside her in leadership and to be able to hear her say, rest, rest, faithful servant. You have done much. It is time for you to refuel. So let's take a moment. And we can't hear that if we aren't finding ourselves in places where spirit feels at home and where we're able to connect with her. So I think that's what I got for today. I hope that you've received something from this portion of the podcast. I always do. Yeah, that was an interesting look at Psalm 23. And now it's time for a parent mantra. Every week we'll have a parent mantra, something that you can say to yourself or to your partner so that you can be reminded you're not alone. The Autoparent podcast family and the Foundry Family Ministries are with you on this journey. Your mantra for this week is, I am leading with God. I am leading with God. Because friends, if we don't believe that, it's going to be really hard to convince our kids. I've been your host, Pastor Casey. You can follow me on Twitter at RevKCVC. And remember to be gentle with yourselves. You don't have to be an auto parent to be a good one. Join us next week, same time, same place. You can find out more information about Foundry United Methodist Church by visiting our website, www.foundryumc.org. If you're specifically looking for information about our Family Ministries Department or our offerings for parents, you can find those at www.foundryumc.org/family ministries.